to another edition of Homestead Huddle. Today we're going to talk about why you should wait a year, at least a year really, before you do any major projects on the new homestead. I've been blessed. The land I'm staying at and have my homestead has been in the family for years. So I've seen the adjustments and what can happen to the land and weather conditions on the land that if I would have just built straight on without knowing the things I know now, I probably would have built things in the wrong places or planted things in the wrong places, and it would have been bad mojo. One of the major reasons why you should wait for doing any major projects is for us, we're blessed. We have a creek that runs through the property. So there's little slopes on the hills. And knowing how high that creek normally can get, like right now, it's fairly low. But I have seen it extremely high. So when we were installing our goat fencing, I knew that I cannot take it to the creek completely because a good portion of that fence would be wiped out or destroyed by the water, branches getting caught if the water ever rose. I also knew how far back I could safely do the fence before water would actually get there on a normal basis. Now, because I've lived here for so many years, I have seen it at one time extremely high. So that's a rarity, and that's still a risk. So if it got that high again, my fence would actually be wiped out again. But it's sort of a gamble at that point because I know it's been over 16 years since it's gotten that high. By then I hope I can actually get, the fence life out of it if it needs to be repaired. I also know that if it did get that high, I've got a safe place where I can actually put the goats just in case. Another big factor that you want to focus on is knowing if there's any maybe wet weather springs or plants that grow in a certain place at a certain time. You don't want plants that could potentially be toxic to your animals growing up in a place that you would fence in, and every year they come back. That could be very devastating to your herd. Now, another consideration is how the sun goes. Okay, right now it is springtime going into summer where we live. So the sun is actually going to be higher up. So planting some things and planting our garden and knowing which places are going to get the most sunshine is very important. In the winter time, because we live north facing, unfortunately, I would much prefer a south facing place, but north facing, and we've got a hill behind us. So in the winter, that sun rarely gets above the tree line. So there's a lot of shade where what would be a great garden spot or a great building spot that just doesn't get the sunshine during the winter. Now, does it get sunshine during the summer? Yes. So being able to know that and adjust where you're going to place fields, where you're going to place buildings, so your herds at certain times, that's very important. And you won't know this unless you wait a year to see what all 4 seasons has to offer and brings on your property. There might be plants that grow that you want to keep that happen over here because it needs full shade. You might want to plant more trees, but if you plant them in a certain spot in the winter, it might be that they required shade or mostly shade. During the summer, they're going to burn to death because they're out in full shade or full sun. So this is why I always recommend, unless you know the place very well, wait at least a year so that you can look at what your land has to offer what comes up naturally, what weather conditions are happening, how the sun rises and sets in all 4 seasons before you make any big projects or fencing or building projects. I mean, it could save you a lot of time and heartache and money by just waiting. I know it's hard because, you buy the land and you're like, I want to get right into it. But sometimes being patient is the best way to go. We here at Survival Homestead Teaching Farm want to thank you for watching this video. Please help us help you by liking, sharing, and subscribing.